Good morning. Welcome to the Driller Newscast, a weekly update on the news and stories that are impacting the water and drilling industry. I'm your host, Brock Yordy, and this Wednesday, March 22nd, is World Water Day. And we are in DC for the National Groundwater Association fly-in. So check out my social media, TikTok, LinkedIn, on all the great things that are happening, and we'll cover it in the news in an upcoming episode. Because it's the fly-in week, we are bringing back Terry Morris to talk about the fly-in specifically and PFAS, waters of the United States, and affordable water wells. But before we get into that, we have another woman in the construction industry to cover, and it was challenged by Nakona Williams last week. So it's Chelsea Yordy. Chelsea is the national sales manager to the Driller magazine and my best friend, wife, and mother of my two children. I hope you enjoy this. She is a much better person than I'll ever be. For this week's newscast, industry professional, being that is still Women in Construction Month, we had a challenge by Nakona Williams of Venture Drilling Supply to bring on Chelsea Yordy, who is in marketing and advocating for our industry. And fun fact, not my sister, but my wife, as funny as that was for a hot second for folks to ask. Let's jump right into this. Introduce yourself, Chelsea.
Hey, I'm Chelsea. Thanks, Nakona. This is fun. I'm excited to be here. It's been fun hearing this journey and hearing you do all of these things and promoting all of this and talking about it from the advertising side. So now I'm on the other side and I'm a little nervous.
As you should be, being that we've been together 15 years and there's been plenty of family trips and early mornings and times when I'm putting all sorts of great professionals on speakerphone so I can grab my notepad or open my laptop and start to figure out how we can fix whatever bad situation's going on or plan to not fail. And you should be nervous because you've been right there. And so there's many things you should already know about this industry. As I realized as we walked through the national conference and you started asking questions.
I did. I asked a lot of questions. You didn't record those, right, though?
I didn't. So I thought maybe we'd just ask you some basic drilling terminology.
Okay. Yes. Listen, I've been doing this now. I've been in the industry now 2 years, so I know enough to be dangerous. Maybe not accurate, but dangerous. Give me your best shot. Let's go.
What is a bit?
A little thing that goes in the end of a rod that goes in the ground that's normally not little.
What is the term tripping out?
Me trying to walk in heels. No, I lied. It's when you are getting stuck in the ground and have to pull a bunch of rod out to put new rod in, so you're not stuck.
This is almost like the TikTok ask my child that was born in the 2000s about terms from the 80s.
It wasn't close at all. It wasn't close at all.
Tripping out is when you remove rods or add rods. They don't have to be stuck. We hope they're not stuck. You have plenty of advertisers out there that probably would sell more if we got stuck more often.
Well, maybe more people should get stuck.
Let's get serious. There was an opportunity at the Driller for a new advocate to come along and do marketing. You, my wife,
yes,
came from working at a Condé Nast company that was moving from print to digital. What opportunity did you see here and what have you been able to do?
Yeah, it's all about that transition, right? That from print to digital and how does that work? It's something I have done for many years at a completely different company. And so when this opportunity came about, I was like, wait, what? You want me to be, I can work with you? I can be in the industry? What is this? So we asked a ton of questions and learned a bunch of things. And at the root, it was a transition period, right? To go from the legacy that was Dean and the legacy for our brand that was print to something completely foreign, which was digital. What does that process look like? And that happens to be something I really enjoy. I enjoy asking lots of questions, looking strategically at what's working, what's not working, how do we optimize something? And so when this came about, it was a really easy fit for me to kind of step in and take everything I have done in the past, and focus it in with the driller and focus it into the drilling industry. I think something that I have loved about this process is getting to learn the industry from a different perspective, even the ones from listening to you and hearing conversations and going to trade shows and just being involved in those conversations, to now be in it with a little bit more depth has been a completely eye-opening experience. There's a lot going on in this industry, right? There's a lot of new things happening, a lot of technology being developed, processes happening. How to run a business is completely different now than it was 10, 20, 50 years ago. So for me to be able to be part of those conversations and work with, the mom and pop shops up to the major international manufacturers, and ask the questions of strategy and what are we doing and why are we doing it and how do we do it and how is the audience changing and how is the tactics changing. It's been really fun. I get to ask a lot more questions, and I feel like people think I know a little more about the drilling industry than I actually do. So when I ask those questions, they're like, oh, okay. They go into it. Maybe there's judgment, maybe there isn't. I don't know, but it's cool to learn new things. And from an advertising and marketing standpoint, I think that is one of the biggest draws in my mind, because no matter where you go, right? No matter what advertising platform you're working with, no matter what marketing your campaign you're focused on, it's all about asking questions and learning. So figuring out what you're doing and who you're talking to, so you can then make the right strategy. So I get to ask a lot of questions every day and help promote the driller and help grow the audience and push the content, bring in advertisers. It's a fun side of this industry. So thanks for deciding not to be an advertising person and stay muddy. I appreciate that.
What is rewarding so far about learning about the water and resource industry?
Just how big it is. I think I feel really foolish saying this, but we've been together for an obscene number of years. And I've always known what you do, right? You're in the drilling industry, but to understand all of the nuance and all of the different areas within this industry has been mind blowing. It's not as small as I thought it was. Shame on me for thinking that, first of all. But there's just so much opportunity, right? There's just so much going on, from clean water to the drilling process to the technology being developed. There's just so many pockets of interesting adventures and opportunities and people doing awe-inspiring things. And I just think that that's really, really cool. Everybody is so different. They all have their own niche, but everyone's kind of working to make it better, right? Make the world better, make the water cleaner, make the process safer. But there's just so many different ways you can do it. Everybody's just jumping on a drill rig and going, right? There's 18,000 other different roles that everybody has that I wasn't quite prepared for that. It was cool.
So a lot of parents that are in this industry, obviously coming from Yordy and some well drilling, you have family that are in forestry and construction back east. Would you want your 4-year-old son or your 6-year-old daughter right now to be in this industry in the future?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that, again, going back to what I was saying, there's just so much, right? There's so much you can do with it. And whatever their interest is, right? I think you always, I don't know about everybody, but for me, it was always when I was growing up, what do you want to do when you grow up, right? What are you passionate about? What job is going to fuel you the rest of your life? And I think that there are a lot of people that have that, right? They wake up and they just know, okay, drilling is in my blood, right? Whatever aspect it is, or, being a doctor, it's in my blood, whatever it is, they just know they're passionate about it. But I think that those people there's much less of those people. For me, that was not me. There was nothing I was ever passionate about doing. It was always things that I was like, I'm good at that. I kind of like that. Let's try it. So for me, it's talking to those people that don't necessarily have a burning passion for something, but find things that they're interested in, find things that they're curious by. And I think this industry has tons of opportunities with that. So yeah, I highly, highly suggest and hope our kids end up looking at it to some capacity, because there's something, right? Whether it's the geology side of it or the marketing side, the advertising side, there's tons to get involved with. And there's so much impact available, to be able to say that you're helping provide water for the world to some capacity is really cool. So yes, I absolutely hope our children will do that. I think that one is dead set on being the next Tom Brady and the other one a unicorn. I don't know. So we'll see.
So when I first met you and the entire time we've been together, you say you're not connected to or have passion about things, but you've always had a large ass water bottle. You were always drinking. You're pretty much kidding. It's probably the reason why I got to have just babe I have today, is because you knew that I'm going to be able to find water.
Sorry, it was my hydration break time.
With everybody on the podcast looking at nothing, that was a giant 1 gallon. Doesn't fit in any cup holder in any vehicle we're in. It's always doing something, but she's got a gallon of water.
Hydrating myself. Sometimes I share it with family, usually not. No, water's important, right? Like, you need it to survive. You need it to have fresh skin. You need it to function. Yes. You need to always be in the water industry so that I can always know that whatever I'm drinking is clean and readily available. Please don't ever consider a career change.
Deal. Any thoughts for young women coming into this industry?
Just do it, right? Like it's an industry like any other industry. Yeah, it's male dominated, sure, but so are hundreds of other ones. If you're interested in something or if you're curious by it, do it. Who cares? And if someone gives you the look that, oh, you're a woman, go, okay, game on, let's go. Right. If you're curious, if you're interested, if you're determined, take that and say, okay, I'm going to be better than you. Get ready. So yeah, find something. It's not just, don't be foolish like me and think, okay, well, the drilling industry, the water industry, okay, I have to be interested in getting on the drill platform and drilling. No, if you are, fabulous. I love that. But there's just so much more to it than that. So yes, do not be intimidated by the drilling industry, the water industry. Take it and run, right? Strut your way to success, whether you're in muddy boots or heels, join the industry.
I like that.
Thanks.
Well, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me. I feel like I couldn't have said no. I couldn't tell you, ignored your request via email. Oh, it got lost in my junk mail. Oh, sorry. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Chelsea, for putting up with all of my questions and me forcing you to be on the news. I love the fact that you're in this industry with us now and that you're helping use your marketing digital expertise to help bring out more campaigns and have our voice heard. And it's important to have our voice heard. And that's why now I bring back Terry Morse, Executive Director of the NGWA, to talk about the National Groundwater Association fly-in that is happening on the 22nd and 23rd this week. The 22nd being World Water Day. We have Waters of the United States. We have the drought out west. We have the Colorado Compact. We have SACIT versus the EPA. We have PFAS. We have groundwater legislation across the country for agriculture and big industry. So lots going on. And that's why the NGWA brings members, including me this year as a member going to represent Michigan, to the Smart Groundwater Policy fly-in. Let's hear from Terry. Big picture, our voice is heard.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the fly-in.
Yeah. So coming up here, World Water Day, the end of March 23rd. So we partnered again with Water Quality Association. And in the past, it's been NGWA, Water Quality Association, and Irrigation Association. This year, unfortunately, Irrigation Association is not able to join us. They had a prior commitment the same week in New York, and they didn't want to split their membership, but they'll be back with us again next year. So we understand the importance of stronger together, but when it comes to lobbying and politically, strength comes in numbers. So I mentioned to you before my background, association management. You might know this organization, or some contractors out there will know them. I came from National Federation of Independent Business. They're the largest small business lobbying group in the country, and they go back and forth with the NRA, who's a larger organization. But the point is, they're so large, strengths in numbers. It's get it out there. Politicians care about getting reelected, and they're going to follow whoever the voters are, right? The large numbers. You're not going to get a bunch of politicians coming in the room with there's one person. But if you've got hundreds or thousands, they're going to stand up and listen, because that's a lot of constituents to listen to. So we all have a common goal, and that is proper management of water, how it's used, how it's managed, keep it clean. So you get together like-minded organizations who don't care about who gets the credit. We're all in this for the long haul. What we care about is getting the job done that benefits everybody. And so we don't stand on our own when we go to DC. We always partner with other like-minded organizations. And this year's water quality, they're a great partner. We're going to have an industry panel discussion. There'll be some congressional leaders that are going to come. We're going to do a panel with the congressional leaders. We might have one or two congressmen come and talk to the group. We're just trying to solidify schedules. One evening, we're going to have a happy hour event with congressional staff and the leaders. So that's the first day with water quality, and then the second day are the visits on the Hill. So the main thing is you show strength in numbers, you get the attention of the politicians in DC, and that's on day one, to show them that we're united with other water associations, and these are the issues that are important. And then the next day are the individual meetings. And so maybe you might think, well, what are you going to accomplish, in these individual meetings? In worst case, you're getting into the offices of your congressmen or senators, House of Representatives. They're in DC. You meet their staff. So that way, when you go back to your own state, it's easier to make a connection and get in, and then have that one-on-one personal meeting. And so it's about making those connections while you're in DC, to take those back to your state level and have those individual conversations. So day one's more of the global picture on water, and then day two are your personal state issues that you get to go to the offices and visit and build those relationships and carry on. So,
did we have a good turnout for 2023?
Yeah. It looks like between the two organizations, we're going to have about 80, 85, 90 attendees, which is perfect. In the past, when Irrigation Association was there, we had well over 100. But water quality and NGWA have such a powerful name in DC, with all the work that we've done. And then what's great is that we talk about water coming in, the water quality talks about it once it's going out, right? And so it's a perfect marriage of the two organizations to work together and hit water on all fronts.
That is what we need right now, especially with what we see in the Western United States, or the droughts we have coming across the country, understanding how important surface water and water quality connect directly back to our groundwater.
Yeah. We actually mentioned it. We have a MAR, Managed Aquifer Recharge Conference, coming up in April. I might have the dates slightly off, but I think it's April 22nd, 24th, in that time frame. It's going to be San Antonio, Texas. But it's to focus strictly on that issue. And even back when you said, what's the board working on? We kind of go through and figure out what are the things we want to focus on. And PFAS, emerging contaminants, that's been there. It was there when I came on board, and will always be there, because those pollution and contaminations, unfortunately, going to be there, years to come. but managed aquifer recharge has been another focus. And so we have that's one of our priorities, and trying to get that education out there and awareness. And so this conference is going to focus on public policy officials. Here's what needs to happen. And a few years ago, we had Dr. Todd Hallahan with Oklahoma State University was our McElhaney speaker, and his topic, and he's one of the experts in the industry, is managed aquifer recharge. And it's not aesthetically sexy. Communities want to build the dams, and it looks good, but all that water evaporates. Billions of gallons a year. If you really want to store water and have it, you store it under the ground, recharge those aquifers. It protects it from a lot of different, things that are detrimental to our water chain supply. So, especially out west, manage aquifer recharge.
Yeah, I assume we'll see a lot of that. And I'm going to join you guys at the fly-in.
Yeah, I'm excited.
Participate and just be part of the community, the camaraderie of, having our voice heard.
Do you have your topics you want to go after? Is it Michigan you're going to represent?
I will represent Michigan along with, net zero, green energy. There's a lot of aspects of groundwater and drilling that encompass we have going on,
Good.
And it's funny you say, PFAS was there before you got there. In the early 2000s in college, we talked about PFAS as an emerging contaminant,
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
20 years ago.
Wow.
20 plus years
That's
ago.
crazy.
Yes.
Yeah. And again, it's back to the general public on the whole PFAS. My wife picking up on conversations, and all of a sudden she researches it, and her mind is just blown on all the areas where PFAS comes up, the fast food wrappers, the pots and pans at home. I mean, she's like, oh my gosh, it's everywhere. And one of the things I try to mention her, and this is the way I probably get it across to most people, is when I first came on, I was with Dave Henrik up in Minnesota. We went to an engineering firm. So I was new to it. And the head engineer there, I said, is this everywhere? He said, Terry, everybody has it in their body. He goes, how many pounds of rubber comes off a car tire a year? And I said, I've always heard a pound of rubber per car per year. He said, yeah. And he goes, so how many cars are on the road? How many pounds of rubber is that? Where's that rubber dust go? It's on the road. It rains. It goes down the streams. And just that one simple thing, oh my gosh, it's unbelievable. I didn't think about that. Just car rubber, rubber tires. And so you think about all that stuff, and it's amazing. It's amazing that the public doesn't really know all that. And they need to. They need to be aware of what's going on and what they need to do to manage their own water.
That's full circle. So waters of the United States comes back to, these streams, ditches, places that we have sources of contamination that are then going to run into bigger sources that will pool, that eventually become, if we go back to the awesome aquifer kits, we see how it's all interconnected. And so we talk about regulation and farming or industry or water quality and release. We are truly one ecosystem, and it's all of us getting the idea. My grandfather would have said, my grandfather, part of the, the oldest of the greatest generation, oh, you just take that oil and you dump it in the dirt road and it's dust suppression, right?
Right.
Don't worry about that. Here we got something that'll kill all the mosquitoes and everything else. It's just understanding how we impact our environment.
It's true. It's all interconnected, and you're right. And that's where it goes back to our youth education program. It's trying to get everybody to understand kind of how it all connects together, and again, I don't have the map here, and I'm sure you've seen it, but when we do it with the classrooms, not only do they have the kits, but there's two posters that go along with it. There's the aquifer map of the United States, so they understand that. And then there's the map of the cycle of water, the rain, the surface water, how it all connected and just the whole cycle. And like I said, hopefully they understand, what's going on with where their water's coming from instead of just turning on the faucet and hey, there it is, magically appears.
Well, that's great. Is there any other initiatives you want to share with us right now since we got the curtain pulled back today?
Yeah. Probably last one is and this will be introduced later this year. We had a partnership with Water Well Trust, our foundation, to drill wells. When I say drill, provide families in need with water. And we originally started that partnership. We signed the MOU in December of 2018. So the first family we were able to provide a well for was in Illinois, Chicago, in January. And we did that. And I can't remember what paused us, but then all of a sudden next year in 20, COVID comes and really kind of put a screeching hold on some things. Anyways, we just completed that. We did our partnership up front was to do 10 wells or invest $100,000, whichever came first. And we just completed that here at the end of 22. We ended up doing 8 wells and I think the total cost was $110,000. And originally we were going to loan the families the money. And then after discussion, like, why are we loaning the money? Let's do it for families who can't afford those loans. I mean, there's a segment of people that just, even though it's a 20-year loan at 1%, some people still can't afford that. When I say some, a lot. So we did 100% grant, paid the total cost of the loans. And I think that's going to be the direction we're going to continue on with our foundation. We did it. We did this 15 years ago. We had the Foundation for Affordable Drinking Water. We did the loan program. We did 102 wells. So we know that program. We did it, but we're not going back to the loan program. We're going to be introducing a program where we're going to cover the cost, 100% of the cost, whether it's to repair a well, provide a new well, for those individuals, families, and communities that can't afford to pay for it, no matter how low the interest is on a loan. We're going to cover 100% of the cost to provide that water. So that'll be coming soon. That's the focus of the foundation.
That's excellent. As we look at, some of the justice programs right now for underserved, underprivileged communities, and as we look at these loans, there's a couple things happening. One, assets. If a family has a car, sometimes they don't, meet the requirements because they have too much assets, which is a tough thing to hold when you think of it as important water is, from being able to be ready in the morning to go to school or go to work to, just everything that it is way of life. And when we look at around the world, how many women and children carry water every day, come right back to the US, and having people without access to a good, safe drinking water supply.
Yeah. Again, that's another thing. We're talking about educating the public here in the United States. Everybody sees the commercials, the advertisements, whether it's online, providing water to third world countries, and they need it. But that need exists in all 50 states. I think a lot of people think just because you're here in the United States, we'll have access to water, and it's not the case. There are communities, sections that just don't have it. And I mentioned before, when we did this years ago, it was called the Foundation for Affordable Drinking Water. And I think everybody said, oh, it's great that, we need to provide drinking water. It's more than that. It's not just drinking water. Think about everything you use water for on a daily basis. Yeah, it's drinking, but you need it for sanitation, cleanliness, flush toilets, take baths, take showers, clean the dishes, water to, if you have a garden, it's everything. And you don't have that water, that all comes back to health issues. Then you're the sanitation. And so it's again, it's like the cycle of water, but water is a cycle of life. These families need it. And it's amazing to find out that some have to drive to get water and bring it back home, and they just don't have that running water in their house. So, yeah, we're excited. We're excited to do this and educate the public about the need and get out there and start providing more families with that life's basic need of water.
I love it. You're right. About 110 gallons per person a day in the US, and 80% of that is not for consumption. 80% is everything else we need to do, from showering to dishes and clothes and just
Right.
what we need. I think one last piece to that, we're seeing a competition in clean water funding right now for, filters and whatnot for lead pipes and all the rest of our aging infrastructure. So again, you get a community that doesn't have a water system or a family that needs a well, and they're overshadowed by 85% of the population that is in aging infrastructure that has municipal water.
Yeah. It's crazy. And I don't have the statistics for the United States. We have a sponsor of our foundation who has an organization, a foundation in Africa called water4.org. And the way I believe it is they go in and they set up, they take care of the wells, and then they set up like a water utility. So for like 25 cents a month, they're able to pump and provide water. And again, I could be off on some of the numbers, but one statistic he told me, it stuck to me. He said, Terry, there's 1 million wells in Africa. 300,000 of them are inoperable. So I think about that same number here in the United States. How many wells are there? But more so than that, how many of them are inoperable, that are broken down, need repaired, that people need those repaired in order to get water? So that's going to be the focus of our foundation. But then it goes back to our partnership with OSU, goes back to our education. So we have members and people in this industry out of the goodness of their heart have gone overseas to drill wells. But that's the problem. One of the problems is you drill it, they come home, who's there to manage it, maintain it, repair it? So this drilling basics program we have is like that old cliche. You can give a man a fish or teach the man how to fish. So we're through this program, when we put it in different languages, and it's a global training program, teach individuals. And again, this organization Water4 is going to put his staff in Africa through this, so they know how to drill and they know how to maintain those wells, so we can solve the problem of wells breaking down and not being repaired. So it's a whole interconnected strategy we have put together. It's going to take years, but once we get it in place and it feeds, hopefully we're going to help solve part of the problems, globally.
That's fantastic. And it's full circle, just like water.
Yeah.
How water touches everything. People
Exactly.
with knowledge can touch everything, and we can progress.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the vision of the board. That's what we're trying to work towards. And if it can all be in place and be working by the time I retire somewhere down the road, then mission accomplished. So we'll just tackle it one obstacle at a time and try and keep that thing moving forward.
Well, and for everybody on the podcast earlier, the prop he picked up was a helicopter. And at one point, I thought maybe NGWA was going to start selling helicopters, because let's face it, Chauncey in the Southeast, or Dave in Minnesota, or Jeff in Vermont, all of these guys are flying all these different places, along with what we're all trying to do with our voice. And we almost need some helicopter pilots and whatnot to be able to get everywhere we need to be.
Exactly. For those of you Yellowstone fans, like John Dutton, right? Flying a helicopter all around. But no, it's that vision that our volunteers and members and individuals like you that can see what this industry needs down the road. And I have a former employee, a former CFO who's retired, but he preached to the board and always preached, there's no mission without money. All missions need money. And so we have this vision, but we still have to raise the money to make it work. It's just the cycle, right? Just like cycle of water. You need money to make money. You need money for these missions to accomplish things.
It's very true. And it's I'm thankful, working for the publishing company I get to work for, BMP, we are in media, and that's why this works as a news outsource, along with the great National Groundwater Association and the Journal and everything going on, we can work together and be able to show light on many aspects together.
Yeah, it's perfect partnership, and everybody working together. Yeah, we're competitors at times, but we'll, when one succeeds, the other one succeeds.
Absolutely.
It's all good stuff.
Well, thanks for your time today, Terry.
Yeah, thanks, Brock. I enjoyed it. This was
It was
good.
a lot of fun.
It wasn't as painful as I thought it would be.
That's what Brian and Jason just said.
Did they really?
GWA.
Those are talking points. We had them written down.
Yeah.
Good.
Excellent. Thank you for joining us for episode 53 of the Driller Newscast. This Wednesday is World Water Day. What are you going to do with it? We're going to be in DC, having our voice heard, hitting home how important it is to protect the environment and groundwater. Thank you again, Terry Morse, for coming on and discussing it in further depth. Huge thank you to my wife, my best friend, the mother of my children, Chelsea Yordy, for talking about this industry and letting me pick on her a little bit. Check out thedriller.com and my social media this week, because we'll be covering the NGWA fly-in in real time. If you have some extra questions, anything, please reach out. Our voice in DC, along with all the other advocates for safe drinking water and protecting groundwater, is very important. Have a great week. Thanks.